What up, man? It's your boy, One Sir Grove, OSGOE. Today's, or tonight's, or this evening's, or wherever you are in the world's times, topic is the news. And how just shitty the news has been lately. Just how we've entered an era where the news is fucking dumb. Just hella fucking stupid, man. So, I don't watch news on TV so much. I just scan the web like most, I think. I don't know. A lot of humans, we have mobile devices. We can just read feeds and shit, right? That just come across. Like, you don't need a physical newspaper anymore so much to read or to get the news. Because fuck paper newspapers. You know what I mean? It's like, they're kind of like weak and shit. You know what I mean? Like stupid and just kind of impractical. Like, I get it, man. It's the old printing press. It's the old dinosaur days, and some people want to hold on to that shit. And occasionally, dude, it's kind of nostalgic to walk by the newspaper and just be like, yeah, the newspaper. But by the same token, man, fuck paper newspapers. This shit is kind of a waste. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know the exact science on it. Something about it fucks up trees on planet Earth unless it's made from like 100% or like recycled paper. But, I mean, shit. I remember when I was a kid, whether it's true or not, like in science class, I think newspapers, man, like came from trees, and basically we were deforesting like the Amazon rainforest and shit, which people were telling us was like a terrible thing for Earth. But whatever, man. Humans and their obsession with fucking paper products, you know, and plastic. I just read a disgusting fucking story, man. I don't even remember the metrics to number. I don't even feel like Googling it, dude. I'm just, fuck all that shit. But there were some pounds of plastic. I'm going to go with 20. Don't remember it. Was it 40? Was it 20? Was it 200? 400? We'll just go with the low estimate. 20 fucking pounds of plastic. Or something. 4 pounds of plastic. Just some pounds of plastic. Okay? Killed some poor sea creature. Was it a whale? I don't know, man. Was it an otter? I don't think it was an otter. Was it a dolphin? I don't know what it was. I'll go with whale. But I'll also just kind of like bet against that as well. Wager against it. Some sea creature, harmless, was killed because it had fucking like pounds of plastic in its stomach, dude. Like, that's not even funny. That's just weird and fucked up, dude. Like, I mean, shit. Like, I had to take a moment and pause, like, for that poor creature's soul. Like, I understand, man. Like, I get it. It's a conundrum. We're humans that have been put on this planet. We have tailbones that were snipped because we had some type of tail, but it doesn't exist anymore. I would say not a monkey tail, but some other kind of tail. Probably like a lizard tail or some shit. We're probably fucking reptilians. I mean, because if you think about it, if you're not vegetarian, we eat eggs, right? What do foxes do? What do foxes eat? Don't they go after like eggs and shit? Isn't there something about like foxes going after the hen? I don't even know, man, from the story, the proverbial story from childhood. I don't know if they really eat eggs. I could Google it and get the science on that shit. But the point is, there's some fucking predatory animals, that is plural, that eat fucking eggs, that have sharp dagger fucking teeth, that eat eggs, that eat cows, okay? There's some fucking predatory animal that eats beef products, that eats poor little chickens. You know what chickens are? Have you ever heard of chickens? Have you ever heard of cows? You know the little picture books that we read as kids? You know, the cute little cow on the pasture and the cute little pig? Okay, well, this animal eats pigs. It eats fucking cows. It eats cute little pigs, cute little cows, cute little chickens, and chicken eggs. So not only does it eat, and it eats fish, okay, it eats fucking fish, and it eats lamb. Have you ever heard of this animal? Oh yeah, that's right. It's us. So we're some type of fucking thing that devours animal flesh. if we're not vegan, if we're not vegetarian, and we prey on these animals, man, in the wild, and it's weird, and it's fucking sick, and it's Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it's Burger King, and it's McDonald's, and it's Wendy's, and it's corporate America, and it's the military-industrial complex. And you have a tailbone, a coccyx, that, I mean, dude, it's a fucking tailbone. Why would it be there if you didn't have a tail, like in some other adaptation, iteration of yourself, right? So we used to have tails of some sort. I'm guessing not fucking monkey tails. Now, let me ask you this. What do you know about zoology and veterinary science? What do you know? Maybe you're a veterinarian. Maybe you're a zoologist. Maybe you're a biologist. Maybe you're some other ologist or scientist. So, what do monkeys eat? What do chimps eat? Do chimpanzees eat cows? Do they eat fish? Do they eat chickens? I'm not saying that they don't. I'm asking you if they do. Do you know? Do baboons and orangutans, does the rhesus motherfucking goddamn fucking monkey eat fish and chips? Does the I don't know, man, what other does the Chinese snow monkey, I'm just going to say Chinese snow monkey, those weird primates that they found like a decade or so ago that had never been found by humans previously. Does the Chinese fucking snow monkey eat cows, eat chickens, eat, what other kind of game? Deer? Does it eat lamb? Does it eat fucking fish? Do these primates eat these things? Do you fucking know? Well, we do. So, you've got a tailbone. We've got a tailbone, but it's been snipped. Doesn't really exist so much anymore. It's just a little nub, just a little reminder of what we are and what we used to be and what we still are. And you know what's interesting? A lot of people don't even fucking remember that they have a goddamn fucking tailbone until they start looking at science and they're like, oh, human anatomy books is what I meant to say more clearly and more precisely. So you're looking at human anatomy, and I don't know if you caught that or got that, books, paper again, right? See the irony in that? Humans deforesting for paper products to create colorful photos and pictures, okay? So, right, but we don't really need that so much anymore because now we have a glowing box with pictures and colors and glowing radiance and emanating energy frequencies and in vibratory patterns, right? So now there's a glowing box that we have. So we went from destroying the fucking forest of planet Earth to taking electrons and encasing them in a glowing box in a fucking in a metal chassis. We have, I mean, dude, that's now we have radiation. So we went from destroying plants on Earth, destroying trees for air, to taking fucking radiation and putting it in a metal box to look at colorful pictures. Yeah, with our tailbones that have been snipped. I wonder why we were brought here to this planet. For who or what's amusement? Have you ever thought about that shit, man? What kind of motherfucking fuckery is this? But we're not alone. There are other species that we prey on as humans as a whole. Starting with our own militaries around the world that prey on all the other militaries around the world, which is pretty sick if you think about it. Doesn't it sound like kind of a fucking video game at this point? The way I've put it into perspective. You've got humans pitted against humans. Let's start with, let's lead humans to believe now that we've brought them to this planet for our desire and for our delight. Our jubilee, our jubilation. Right, so now that we brought humans to this planet to watch them play and to fight, let's pit them against one another. And we'll start with their skin color. Let's see if they're stupid enough to fight each other over their skin color. And then once their resources begin to diminish over time, we will delight and be even more gleeful. Dude, humans are fucking dumb. Pretty fucking much in a lot of ways. But of course, you have historians and motherfuckers who want to talk about how far we've come in the evolutionary chain of events of it all. I mean, really? Going from fucking destroying the rainforest to putting swirling electrons in a metal fucking radioactive chassis box? Little metal box that humans play with? You know? We've taken some metal and we put radiation in it and we play with it. We're so gleeful and so delighted. Right? Yeah, you know, dude, have you ever thought that maybe this shit is all monitored by some type of intelligent entity? Have you ever thought about that? Well, if you're religious, of course you have. Because in your mind, in your belief system, God watches over all. And God is all things. God is every atom of the universe. God is every subparticle within those atoms. God is everything. We are all God, just one God mind, collectively speaking. So, you know, and then our individual selves, we're just our individual selves, but we're the same self, just divided into other selves. Isn't that what the fucking gray alien was talking about in Project Blue Book, for which the Canadian puppeteer, puppetronic, the Canadian puppet master, the Canadian animatronics expert. He does animatronics, and he's an expert of animatronics. The Canadian animatronics expert who made the video of the gray alien based on the recorded audio that has been declassified from Project Blue Book, where the alien is being the gray from Zeta 4 is being or wherever he came from to here from the timeline that they come from, because apparently on this timeline they live on Zeta 4, and obviously because if they can traverse solar systems, they're not just on Zeta 4, they're here and they're on other planets, probably fucking planet Serpo. I said planet Serpo because what do you know about Project Serpo? 20 and back, 20 and back, 20 and back. Project Serpo. So that said, the Greys. So in Project Blue Book, Project Sign, Project Looking Glass, where we peer into the spectrum of hyperspace, Montauk, all the related projects involving Montauk, hyperspace, teleportation, Philadelphia experiment, you name it. What am I missing here? Project Looking Glass. Oh, Project Rainbow. All the shit at CERN, Hadron, LHC, Large Hadron Collider. Everything that we've fucking done. Sandia, Wright-Patterson, Air Force Base, all the national laboratories, Hanford, the Battelle Umbrella Corporation, under which all of the aforesaid operate, function. So Area 51, S4, Area 58, all the different area designations, because people talk about Area 51. Well, that kind of suggests that there are other areas, though. So the Greys, at least this Gray, in this Project Blue Book, he says that he's from the future. And scientists are administering truth serum. And they're like, so you say you're from the future? Why did you come here? And he's talking about how they came here for surveillance, and that he traveled thousands of light years from Earth to get here to this Earth. So obviously it's time dilation, it's time displacement. They're from a future Earth. Doesn't take fucking rocket science to understand the basic premise. So he's from Earth, but not this Earth, but it is this Earth, and it's this Earth in the future, in a future. In other words, in one of the many potential futures. So this set of grays, they fucking come here for observational purposes because there had been, according to these grays, there had been a nuclear war on some timeline, and most of human life was extinguished, or a good percentage of it, on this planet of some timeline of Earth, and they didn't have records of what took place so much. So they figured out how to travel after this event, this cataclysmic event. They survived, and at some future point in time, they were able to travel into hyperspace. Don't know how they did it. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, but I'll say I don't. So, so they travel through hyperspace after Earth is destroyed. Some Earth, not necessarily this one, but some Earth in the multiverse. I'm guessing several, because there are and is an infinite number of Earths and universes. So they travel after this cataclysmic event. They travel through hyperspace because they've been underground. They've been able to double back and regroup. They've been able to get shit back together underground. They've been able to scrap together some technology. They've been able to, like the movie Oblivion, read some books in, some underground library type shit. And after so many cycles, so many moons, so to speak, they're able to gain access to hyperspace through some way. So imagine if all life on Earth, or a lot of it, were extinguished. There were survivors. In the aftermath, regardless of what you believe of nuclear war, or what you've been told about nuclear war, after such a Holocaust, in this hypothetical scenario, there are survivors. And some of them are scientists. Some of them are just ordinary, everyday folk. And nonetheless, you have people who are experts, people who worked for the military, for the Pentagon, for the government, for the Russian government, for the Kremlin, for the Chinese People's Republic of China, People's Liberation Army of China, and all these other countries, the Australians, the Canadians, whoever the fuck survives in such a hypothetical scenario. You have experts, you have non-experts, but you have people nonetheless. And someone out of billions says, hey, there has been a project underway at this base. If we can just get to it, it's in wherever. White Sands Missile Base. Who fucking knows? Again, Wright-Patterson. One of the areas, one of the laboratories. And they say, hey, look, CERN, this thing, we know how to turn it on. Even though the surface is largely destroyed and fucking wiped out. It's just fucked up. It's some bullshit. So they get the shit up and running, man. They spark it up, get the generator going, start emanating some electrical current frequencies and shit. Start getting some fucking frequency over time type shit like George Van Tassel was talking about in the state of Washington with the video that had been sanitized and scrubbed, the documentary, the interview rather, where he was interviewed and it became a documentary of evidence where he was talking to someone on the air in America, a reporter, journalist. George Van Tassel had worked in aerospace, totally rational dude, not even insane at all, totally grounded, down to earth, normal dude, and happened to work in aerospace. and was at a airport, and these airport runway tarmac, and because he worked in the industry and had for some time, he was a businessman. And these aliens just showed up one day, man, and they looked, like humans. They were humanoid. They were human looking. They just looked like fucking humans. They showed up, and they said that they were from fucking some planet like Venus. And he was like, for real? And they're like, yeah. Well, you see our spaceship and shit, come on board. And he's like, okay. So he goes on board, because, why the fuck wouldn't you, So he goes on board, and he's like, this is amazing shit. Like, is this a stage prop? Like, they're like, nah, it's a fucking real spacecraft. You should, know that by now. It's not a government psyop. Like, we're from Venus or Saturn or wherever they were from. I'll go with Venus, but, don't quote me on that shit. And he just starts asking them questions, and they are telling him answers and giving him info and providing him intel and shit on hyperspace and shit. And he's like, this is incredible. And they're like, yeah, man, we just wanted to come down and communicate with you. So he told this story to the news. And based on his interaction with them, they gave him one of the keys to hyperspace, frequency over time. Apparently our government largely, chiefly, didn't want for most people in mainstream society to know that. That's why the interview was taken offline. But it's surfaced. George Van Tassel, and he explained it. And they also gave him the keys to human regeneration, in other words, anabiosis. They give him the keys to regenerate human cells, and basically reanimation. And so he started to build a place where that could take place. And once it was built, he mysteriously ceased to exist within the same time frame of him having built that reanimation center there that people were being invited to. So what a coincidence that he just ceased to exist somehow, coincidentally, mysteriously, as soon as he had built this thing, because apparently someone on this planet didn't want for humans to know how to reanimate themselves at that time. And interestingly, aliens similarly gave Eisenhower the opportunity to possess that technology, and he gave it some thought, came back a few days later and said, can't do that on this planet. Sorry, I respectfully decline, because you see here, your technology here on this planet would more or less ruin, i.e. fuck up, the economy of this planet. So thank you for your human reanimation technology. I respectfully decline. Sorry to have to tell you that and say that and do that, but that's what we're going to have to do here. And that was about a week later, after George Van Tassel was visited on the West Coast. Val Valiant Thor touched down in the DC metro area in his spacecraft, similar to the humanoids out west, within a week of each other apart on opposite coasts. So, again, out west, as a recap, out west, George Van Tassel, aerospace, businessman, industry businessman, approached by these humanoids with their spacecraft. 1 week later, you've got Val Valiant Thor from, I believe, the same planet, Venus or some shit like that, touches down in DC. He basically anesthetizes an Alexandria, Virginia police officer, according to historic record, does something to his mind, more or less says, take me to your president. And so the cop is like, okay, sure, not a problem. Hop in and I'll drive you there. So he drove Val Valiant Thor to the Pentagon, where Val Valiant Thor became a guest for like over a year and was just chilling and shit. And of course, humans conducted, ran tests and experimented on Val Valiant Thor. And you can read about it. It's a longer story than will be this podcast. But yeah, his materials were basically impervious to earthly lasers, high energy, lethal lasers. They try to penetrate his clothing material with lasers, high energy lethal lasers to no avail. They tried to prick his skin with the syringe, and it just broke off. They found out that his heart, and his heart and his lungs are bigger than humans, in terms of their overall size and capacity, and his brain is capable of, he's able to speak hundreds of Earth languages fluently. So he's on some other shit. And one of the stories leaves out the part, some of the stories, many of them actually, leave out the part that his wife and his children were actually on board his spacecraft that he kept in constant communication with. And while he chilled at the Pentagon, and people in the media saw him, there are pictures of him, and so they came to Earth with this technology to say to humans, hey, look, we're basically with the Galactic Federation, as cartoon as that may sound, but there is, in fact, a Galactic Council, is what I meant to say, a Galactic Council, and they've been observing humans on Earth, and they don't know why humans are acting dumb and shit, wilding out, and so they're like, yo, here's this technology, 3D printing technology, you can print your organs, you can reprint yourselves, you can basically live indefinitely if you want, here's the technology. But there is evidently some other entity on this planet at the time that's been here since time immemorial, just pretending like it's a human that's like, you know, I don't know, like aged, like senior, or like in his or her 20s, or whatever this group that lives on this planet. And it's not really that age. They're not really that age. They're really like zillions of years old, and they're here to maintain the planet. And they were like, nah, because see, on this planet we got cancer and diseases and shit like that, you know, population growth. So no, can't take the technology from you that you're offering. Can't accept it. It's unacceptable. It'll fuck up our plans. And but you know, we can hang out and be friends, and we can talk, and you can chill at the Pentagon. So yeah, that's some interesting shit, man. Project Blue Book. So the Zetas, they come back in time. They're looking for evidence of what happened. They want to find out, man, what the fuck happened. And so, of course, they get caught up. They're in Area 51, below ground, S4. Probably some fucking miles, you know. Probably some shit that just isn't a few stories underground. Probably some shit that's miles under fucking ground. And they're being interrogated. And if I were the aliens, I wouldn't be telling humans the truth either. Especially if I travel through time and I know some shit. So according to the aliens, when you travel through time on other Earths and in other universes where there is an Earth like ours that is found with planets in a solar system like the Milky Way, that we call the Milky Way, in these other universes where there is a similar mapping of our universe, according to these grays, most of the time, like 90-something% of the time, there is no life in those universes. They're just devoid. They're like the almighty grand architect God, as some refer to such. God, the grand architect, left some blank, basically. Like the planets are there, the rocks are there, but there's no life in the multiverse, in some of the different areas of the multiverse. But here, just so happens that there is life. So, similar to the Greys universe, they found this Earth inhabited, and so many degrees of, divergence from that of their own. This is close to the universe that they came from, and within, say, like 1 to 2 degrees of divergence. So they are looking for information that pertains to their universe to find out what happened, how it can be stopped, and how they can continue to do what they were doing beyond the point of the nuclear event. So they basically want to dial it back and genetically modify themselves to be an improved species, race of advanced beings, and also further, obviously, in that their existence. And so that's why they came here for records. They came here for records, for surveillance purposes, for observation. And they're hoping to be able to stop the event that destroyed them on another Earth timeline. So that's the science of that, and that's how that works. You've got a tailbone for a reason, man. Oh, and what does he say? He says that a genetic, what is it? Genetic? No, so he talks about offset spatial divergence, and then he talks about they are a not a progenitor, they are a related genetic species of humans, essentially. Project Blue Book. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. I'm your boy, OSGOE, One Sir Grove, a.k.a. that rap artist known as Dr. Grove.